Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jess. Good morning, everybody.
Hey everyone, good afternoon here from the UK across the pond.
Good
Hey,
afternoon.
Elliot. I know we always assume it's morning. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks. The morning definitely is long gone and it's Friday afternoon, but still drinking coffee. Haven't started the weekend just yet.
Nice, nice. All right, really quick, since you mentioned coffee, we always ask our guests, what is in your cup? What kind of coffee are you drinking?
So I am pretty vanilla when it comes to coffee, so I just drink the same thing all the time, which is just black coffee, usually like double espresso americano. But I have recently indulged in a like bean to cup coffee machine. So yeah, coffee is pretty much my main drink throughout the day, and sort of has to be working in crypto. There's nothing else that quite keeps you going.
I couldn't agree more with you. Yeah, you can never go wrong with some black coffee. So completely agree. Tammy, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I personally cannot delve into just black coffee. I have to have some sort of creamer with mine, but kudos to you guys. I maybe I'll try it sometime. It just has to be a light coffee for me, probably a blonde roast to be able to do that because ooh, to me it's bitter. I need a little oat milk in mine. But I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Good, good. It's been a long and busy week. Definitely happy that it's Friday today. I do want to thank everybody for being here. Dow is on vacation next week, so he'll be back. Our other co host, he'll be back next week. Make sure to check out his space on Wednesday to learn about DeFi and crypto. But yeah, thank you guys for coming to another episode of Crypto and Coffee. Let me just give my little disclaimer. Nothing said here is financial advice. So we are not financial advisors. Also, a quick shout out to my partners at Binance US. You can check out my pinned tweet for more information. And now that that is out of the way, I did want to welcome our guest today, which is Elliot from Verasity. Welcome, Elliot. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, it's going really well. It's been a pretty busy week. I've actually been back into London this week for the first time since my daughter was born. So had a little sabbatical. Still been working, but just haven't had the chance to travel and meet the team. But we had the first catch up in person this week. And we've got a lot coming up for Q2. So really excited to talk a little bit about what we've been doing and introduce Veracity to some newcomers.
Nice, nice. And what is maybe tell the audience what your role is at Veracity?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Veracity. Been with VRA now since pretty much the start of last year. I started just before Christmas, and it's been a really great experience. It's actually one of the longest that I've been working for one single company in the crypto space. I feel that there's a lot for us to do at Veracity, and there's a lot of really interesting product niches that we can really sink our teeth into. Before Veracity, I worked for a number of crypto companies. I've been in the space for around coming up on 7 years now. I helped the comms at the Cardano Foundation. Started when it was around $5 billion market cap, and I was working there when it had its run up to $45 billion. So really exciting time to be with Cardano. Also worked a little bit behind the scenes of Chainlink back in the day, Signum Digital Asset Bank, and also just before Veracity, worked with a DeFi launchpad and ecosystem called Occam. So really had a broad exposure to a lot of different products in the crypto ecosystem. And been around in the industry for a while, but Veracity is definitely one of the most interesting projects that I've had the pleasure to work with.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I've known about Veracity for a while now, just from being in this space. And let's start with the basics. Veracity is most known for proof of view. And what is proof of view? Let's maybe start with the basics and start from there.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think a lot of people, when they first enter the ecosystem, proof of view is one of the first things that they see, and certainly it's a really, really important part of our ecosystem. Proof of view itself is actually a single module, so it's a single module that we have patented. So when we say that we have a patented protected product, it is the proof of view module that's patent and protected, and it basically deals with how we detect advertising fraud and how we add that data on chain. So we have the only patent for that technology in the space. We're the only, basically the only blockchain protocol in the space that has a patent for AdTech technology. So we're really proud of that. But proof of view sort of sits within a wider product, which is Veraviews, and it has some use cases that we're exploring outside of Veraviews. But for now, for our commercial adoption, proof of view is sort of most relevant to Veraviews. So Veraviews is an advertising stack that provides open access to basically advertising campaign infrastructure for publishers and advertisers. I think we're probably going to delve a little bit deeper into that later on in the space, but proof of view essentially sits behind the Veraviews ad stack and it powers all of our technology. So we could probably compare Veraviews to traditional ad stacks, but proof of view is sort of like that secret sauce that makes us truly unique, and it basically sets us apart from any other competition in the traditional advertising space.
Yeah, and being that proof of view and Veraviews is one of the highlighted features of Veracity, what are some of the issues in traditional advertising or marketing that exist and that you're looking to resolve with this product?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, and it's sort of where do we start? So, I mean, advertising is a multi-billion dollar, hundreds of $billions industry. The USA is obviously the largest advertising market in the world. Following closely behind that, we have China, we have the United Kingdom, the rest of Europe, and basically the advertising ecosystem as an industry is anywhere that ads are placed. Within that, we've got real publications such as newspapers, we've got television, we've got media, but more recently, and I mean, it really has sort of come into its own in the last decade, we've had digital advertising, which is advertising online. Within that, we've got multiple different subsections. So we've got video advertising, we've got display ads, which are like banners when you land on a site that appear on the side of sites, and we've got different ads that may appear in text and things like that. Behind this, because there's such a huge volume of advertising in the world being pushed out every day, and billions of dollars behind it, it's basically automated, and it's what we call programmatic advertising. And programmatic advertising essentially uses a number of automated systems to collect first-party data, which is things like cookies, and serve ads to people on different websites in an automated fashion to people who are likely to engage with that ad. So this whole ecosystem, programmatic advertising, has really taken off over the last sort of decade and become the de facto method of advertising online. Programmatic on its own is worth many billions of dollars, but it's got a lot of problems. So it's not necessarily problems that the way it's been built from the ground up, but it's problems with people exploiting the system. So video programmatic especially, sorry, is absolutely rife with fraud. So it's estimated that advertisers lose around $80 billion a year in campaign budgets in video and display programmatic ads. And this means that around 1 in 3 adverts are seen by bots and fake views. So I've sort of used this analogy, and it's stuck with me a lot. And I guess the people who are here from our existing community, they know what I'm about to say. But for the new users who are listening and learning about Veracity for the first time, these fraudulent ads are like having a warehouse full of televisions that are playing out to nobody, yet brands and advertisers are still paying a significant sum of money to show adverts on these televisions, even though there's no one in the warehouse, no one's watching, and no one is actually going to purchase anything or convert from that ad. So this happens online a lot. We have a lot of bots. We have a lot of fake views. These bots are the warehouse, basically. They are just there, clicking on the ad, interacting with the ad, costing the advertiser money, but they're not giving anything in return. And we think in video programmatic, there is 73% more bots than in any other form of advertising. So it's a really pervasive problem. So, I mean, essentially, because this market, what Veraviews does is it prevents ads. And as I said, I think we're going to speak about that in a little more detail, how we do that. But we prevent bots from seeing adverts on video programmatic inventory. And that's going to be $100 billion market by 2025. So we really have a huge addressable market that this is going to be, and we think that we can really make a difference here.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, I think we can all agree that bots are a problem, whether it's Twitter or any other platform you go, you're getting attacked by bots. And as a creator, I want to know that, the content that I'm putting out there is being absorbed by real people. And as having a brand, if I'm going to spend on marketing, I would definitely want to know that I'm paying for real people to watch it and not just a bunch of bots. So yeah, and how does the tech work behind that? How are you able to distinguish a real viewer versus a bot?
Yeah, so this is where both proof of view comes in, but it's also where other modules within the ad stack comes in. So first, I'll just give like a preamble about Veraviews. So Veraviews is the product. It's what we brand our advertising stack as. It's basically a product suite for publishers who want to prevent bots on their video programmatic inventory. So it's an open ledger advertising ecosystem, and it's built around our proof of view fraud technology. But it also uses other modules, and some of the modules that we use to prevent fraud include artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we basically use these in conjunction with our on-chain components to not only prevent fraud, which, to be clear, there are many solutions in the industry already that claim to reduce or prevent fraud. But what we do is we take that a step further, and we actually prove transparently and auditably that we actually have prevented that fraud. So I'll just describe how that looks. So we've got Veraviews running already in live environments. We can see that it blocks over 96% of fraudulent traffic in live tested environments, which we've revealed through case studies. And we do that by basically when a video loads on a website, there'll be a few seconds before that video loads where an ad bidding waterfall takes place. So basically, in the background, as we discussed with these programmatic adverts, in the background there'll be a bid, and advertisers will bid to show their ad to whoever's on that website at that time. This takes place in like a split second. It's really, really a fast process, but they need to know within that process, and whilst the video is being watched, whether that video is actually a real viewer. Now, there's a lot of as I've said, like project solutions that will check whether it's a real viewer. But what a lot of these other solutions do is they'll do, say, spot checks. So they'll check 1 in every 100 ads, let's say, and they will basically say to the advertiser, well, we checked 1 in 100 viewers of your ad, and we found that only 3 of them were actually fraudulent. Well, of course, this doesn't actually exclude bots. It just excludes bots from the ones that they checked. The reason they do this is because it would generate a vast amount of data, and that vast amount of data would have to be sorted and put into a format where the advertiser could read it. Whereas what we do with proof of view and with our blockchain components, the Verachain, which is a side chain of Ethereum that we've tailor-made for our own purposes, is we essentially take all live log level campaign data and we put that on the blockchain in real time. So instead of just saying, yeah, we've checked 1 in 100 of your ads, we can say that we've checked every single one of the ads that has been shown during this campaign. This is exactly how much fraud percentage of fraud you had in that campaign. This is how much we blocked, and you can prove it online. And this is how much got through, and you shouldn't be paying the publisher for those views because they were fraudulent. So it really gives a much higher level of data granularity. So not only do we introduce new and powerful combination of components that prevent ad fraud, but really the unique innovation is how we present that data to the user. And to our knowledge, and definitely in the space, with basically the only ad tech solution that does that, show a full transparent report of an exact ad campaign. So that's why proof of view technology, we talk about that a lot. It really is the centerpiece of our ad tech stack. It really is what makes us very unique in the advertising world. And I think it's important to talk about that when we talk about the ad tech stack itself.
That's awesome. And really, so I know you guys, well, two questions before I get to my other question. You mentioned about being able to view that data, it's on the blockchain. Are you able to see all the campaigns, or I'm guessing people are able to see all the campaigns and just not the campaigns that are specific to them?
Yeah, so it's a permission blockchain. So we are a B2B solution. So obviously parts of our technology are proprietary. So the advertiser and the publisher, anyone essentially who is what we would call an actor in that ecosystem. So there would be multiple participants in an advertising campaign traditionally, and a lot of intermediaries. So we have really, like, a simple breakdown would be the brand. So let's say, for instance, let's say it was Verasity who wanted to run an ad, we would be the brand. And then we'd have a publisher. That could be any website which shows content. So we revealed a little bit earlier in this year that we were live on the Times of Israel. So we could show an advert on the Times of Israel. In between there would be just demand side platforms and supply side platforms who would help the demand and the supply of adverts, and all of those participants in what we would call the advertising supply chain can see the data on the Vera chain. However, it wouldn't be, because it's not a public blockchain, it wouldn't be that anyone could see that data. We have to be careful about that, because when we're talking about log level data, it can contain personal information, but it can also contain things that would reveal the financials of companies who are running ads. So it would be quite interesting for a competitor, let's say, to see that your competitor is spending $1 million a year on ads in a certain region. That's why that data would have to be protected. And what we would do is we would store it basically in aggregate on the blockchain. So it wouldn't be like every single data point would be a new entry on the blockchain. Obviously, that would be very costly. We would batch the data from campaigns and put it onto the blockchain, in real time, essentially.
That's awesome. And you mentioned the Vera player. So the Vera player does have the Vera Views ad stack. Is this technology just restricted to the Vera player, or are you able to use Vera Views in other applications?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. So, I mean, the Vera player is our own proprietary video player. It's still live, and if any publisher wanted to use it, they would be more than welcome to. We actually decided at the start of last year that it would be, actually, it was just before I joined, like the end of 2021, that it would be advantageous to create a plugin for a already widely used video player, and that video player was the Brightcove video player. So we're already fully integrated with Brightcove. Brightcove is a NASDAQ listed company that provides video player and video monetization solutions for over 3,000 brands worldwide. And they have around 30,000 websites. So those 3,000 brands have multiple different websites. And the Vera Views ad stack is basically able to be turned on as sort of like a plug and play solution for publishers who are using the Brightcove player. I mean, if someone wanted to use the Vera player, they could contact us and we could set them up on the Vera player. But obviously, there's a much more addressable market by going out to video players that people are already using. That way, we're not asking them to change their video player. We're just asking them to turn on our solution. And in addition to that, what we're now going to do, obviously, Bright Cove is absolutely huge. But there's a lot of different video players out there, and publishers are using multiple different video players like JW Player or Vimeo. We're going to make basically a plugin solution that can be used on any video player. So it'll be a really simple plugin that you essentially just deploy for your video player, and then you can use Veriviews. So all you would have to do then, no matter what video player you're on, you could use this header solution, create a Veriviews account through veriviews.com, use our backend to manage your campaigns through our campaign management suite, but you could be running Veriviews on any video player of your choice. So it's a really good question. Obviously, we don't want to be limited by video player ecosystems. We are going to roll out, multiple video player functionality during this year.
Nice. And how is that integration? Is that like through an SDK kit? I don't want to get too technical, but it would just be like a development kit to complete that integration?
Yeah, so it would actually be it's like a header solution. So it would essentially be just a little snippet of text that they would, like a little snippet of code that they would have to put in on the header of their video player. So it's really simple setup, should literally take a few seconds to set up, and then they can just manage their campaigns through our backend. Yeah, so it'd be a really, really simple setup.
Yeah, and obviously the integration with Veriviews it's ideal for the Vera player. Anything that you guys are looking to maybe optimize the Vera player so that more users would be willing to use the native solution?
Yeah, so I mean, it wouldn't matter to us whether they're actually using Vera Player or not, as long as they're using the Veriviews ad stack. That's where we derive revenue from. So what we would want to do is remain as agnostic as possible. So if they want to use Veriviews through, say, JW Player, or they want to use it through Vimeo, or they want to use it through Bright Cove, which they already can, none of that would particularly matter to us. With the Vera player, obviously, we would be able to manage all their content libraries for them. But we're less interested in competing in the video player space and more interested in becoming a player agnostic ad tech stack for anyone in the industry, any publisher to deploy really easily. So I think I would say it's about picking our battles. Like, yes, we have a video player that has great functionality, but revenue wise, it makes way more sense to have people use our ad stack no matter what video player they want to use. The reason for this as well is, I mean, we talk about video players, and everyone thinks of YouTube and this sort of thing. But for a company who may have literally thousands of hours of video, migrating that to a new platform is not an easy undertaking. So if they're already on, say, JW Player, or they're already on Vimeo, it's a very heavy undertaking for the development team to then move their content libraries to a new player, or just update all of their websites. So say it might be one brand, but they have, say, 10 websites, and to update the video player on every single one of those websites would be a significant undertaking. So if we can make it as easy as possible for them, they just put a little bit of code in their header and then they're good to go. That for us is an ideal solution, rather than making them use the Vera player.
That's awesome. And I do want to talk a little bit more about from the user perspective, but one more question before we move on to that. I mean, obviously, fraudulent ads and fraudulent views, I'm sorry, fraudulent views on ads, it's a thing that's been around. Where do you think like traditional Web2 companies have failed at trying to resolve this issue that maybe you guys are doing something a little bit different? Like, and as well, like when you've presented this to, Web2 brands, What's been their feedback? You know, pros, cons. Would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say that the Web 2 solutions to prevent ad fraud have failed as such. It's just that the technology was not there for them to give transparent reporting. So, I mean, the failure would be on the reporting side, and now we have this technology in open ledger and blockchain technologies that we can offer this transparent reporting. And Veracity was, you know, the first to patent this solution, so now it's patent protected, and we're the only ones who do this. So essentially, what they failed in is this problem of it comes down to something that we all as blockchain enthusiasts talk about a lot, and it's trust. So the existing solutions, they might block, you know, like say 95% of IVT in valid traffic, and then they give the reports over to the publisher, or they give the reports over to the advertiser, and those parties have to trust that the solution that they're paying for actually does what it says on the tin. Now, of course, you know, we wouldn't say that they're not, but we just say that it's very easy for campaign statistics and metrics to fly under the radar. There's still an opportunity for fraud. There's still an opportunity for data to be tampered with. There's still an opportunity for underreporting. So quite often what we'll see is, you know, they'll say this was the percentage of fraud, but actually it was higher. Or like we mentioned before, they'll just do, because of the data transparency and the data collection limitations, they'll just do spot checks. So they'll do like either they'll check 1 in 100 ad views, or they'll check 1 in 50 ad views. And that's just not, as we get into a more connected and you know, a bigger advertising ecosystem, that's just not I wouldn't say not acceptable, but it's not going to cut the mustard, sort of thing, to use a British phrase. It's not going to prevent ad fraud, and it's not going to stop this outflow of campaign budget to criminals. What's needed is a transparent solution, and we have that transparent solution that records all of the data from an advertising campaign on chain, where it can be analyzed after for any amount of time. The publishers and the advertisers that we work with, I know this sounds counterproductive, but they don't have to trust us because the data is on chain, so they can verify. They don't have to just trust that the campaign statistics about fraud prevention that we've given them are true, because they can actually go away and look at the data stored on the blockchain, and they can see that in real time as the campaign is still running. Quite often as well, legacy solutions will not give campaign data until months after the campaign's actually ended. So you sort of, you know, you've got this picture of these brands left sort of holding the cost without knowing exactly how well that campaign performed. And it's really important. I think that it's not so much that any one party has failed, it's just that the tools weren't there. And now the tools are there with blockchain, and Veracity is the first to patent them and take them to market.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like having to wait 2 to 3 months, especially if it's like a company that's in the blockchain or crypto industry. 3 months is like 10 years, you know. I don't even remember what happened 3 months ago. So definitely having that real-time data, I can definitely see value in that. But yeah, I mean, we've been talking a lot about from the brand perspective and what benefits them. Are there any benefits for users for viewing these ads from a user perspective?
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, VeraViews it's a non-intrusive media player. So quite often, if a user is suspected to be either identified as, you know, high potential for fraud, so this could be which IP they're joining from, or if they're suspected to be a high potential for like coming from a click farm, they'll be presented with some kind of capture. So they'll be asked to confirm their identity, that they're actually a real human. We've all, I'm sure, seen captures all over the world, all over the internet, even when we log into exchange accounts, this sort of thing. And quite often at the moment, that's the agreed upon method of determining whether someone is a bot or not. Veraviews as a media player is non-intrusive, so we do all of the hard work in the background. You wouldn't necessarily notice that the Veraviews AdTech stack is running. It just runs seamlessly in the background. If it's a bot, or if it's a like someone from a click farm, it will be identified and it will just go into the campaign data that was a fraudulent view. Now, I mean, two things can happen here. They can either be blocked from even being shown an ad, and that's what we're working on in like a pre-bid environment. So before the ad is actually paid for and shown, we can block that ad. Or the ad can run, but we can identify at some point during the time that the advert is running for that in fact it's playing to a bot, it's not playing to a real person. We'll record that in the advertising campaign data, and then the advertiser won't have to pay the publisher for that view because it will have been fraudulent. So that's what we mean by blocking fraudulent views, identifying them and discounting them from the final campaign statistics. For the actual user like you or I watching a video, you wouldn't notice that the Veraviews ad stack was running. It would just look like a video player with an ad, and that's it.
And what about, how does the watch and earn play into this?
Yeah, so watch and earn is another one of our sort of proprietary technology, ecosystem sort of thing. And we recently got the patent for rewarded video in the USA. That was just before Christmas last year, which has gone quick, actually. I guess that's not so recent. But watch and earn essentially is really simple. It rewards users for watching videos. It's totally up to a publisher that works with us whether they want to turn that functionality on. It's still quite new to a lot of publishers, is what's a rewarded video. When you're rewarding people to watch ads, obviously someone has to pay for those rewards. So it's entirely up to the publisher whether they want to make rewards available through watch and earn. We always have that functionality available to them if they want to use the Vera player. So that is just through the Vera player at the moment. And we did use that on our own videos through Vera esports as sort of like a trial period. It's something that we're going to look to explore more in the future, and what we'll be doing is we'll be watching how the rewarded video ecosystem sort of evolves and what the adoption rate is by publishers, I'd say. For now, our core focus is on the Veraviews ad stat, because obviously we've already got like a market that's going to be 100 billion, and we know this by 2025, and there's no other solution that can really prevent ads transparently. So watch and earn is available for publishers who want to use the Vera player, but it's not like something that we heavily promote to publishers at the moment. It's sort of left up to them whether they want to offer it to their users.
Oh, that's pretty cool that they're able to, turn it on for certain things and maybe not for other things. That's an interesting concept. And I know you guys recently, I know you guys recently released updates to your roadmaps. What's coming in 2023?
Yeah, so we've got a lot coming in 2023. I mean, Q1 was, I would say, we just did a Q1 recap. We did a Twitter space like this where I spoke about our updates during Q1, and we did a deep dive Medium article as well. So anyone who hasn't read that yet, please head over to either our Medium or do check in and watch the Twitter space recap. Q1, I would say, was our busiest quarter since I've been at Verasity. We pushed a ton of product updates. We really doubled down on improvements to Veraviews. And also we rolled out the Vera card as well. Q2 similarly is going to be sort of dominated, I would say, by updates to Veraviews. So in Q2 we've got improvements to the statistics backend. So this is what publishers and advertisers see when they're managing their campaigns through Veraviews. We've got ads.text automation, which is really, really important. So ads.text is a fraud a fraud prevention initiative by IAB, the Internet Advertising Bureau, and it's one of the most widely accepted standards for preventing ad fraud. We're actually going to let publishers dynamically update their ad stop text across all their web properties, so they won't have to basically log in to our back end and change all their ad stop text files manually. So that's going to be really important user functionality and improvement for actual publishers. And then for the community, for the things that are like VRA holders and community are going to see, we're rolling out a full website update. This is actually, as a marketer, it's something that I'm most excited about. We've worked really closely with our product team to think about, okay, how can we make Verasity, how can we bring Verasity as a brand and an ecosystem shoulder to shoulder with new projects that are launching now in 2023? So obviously we're in quite a unique position, really. We're a very well established brand. We've been around since 2017, where we launched through an ICO. We now recently, at the end of last year, reached a stage where we were making revenue and we had live products and we had actual live users. But I would still say, and I'm sure, unfortunately, I thought that we might be heading out of it, but it looks like we're still in a frothy crypto market. So how do we stay relevant, and how do we evolve our brand? And newcomers who eventually, I'm sure, will enter the market, how do they look at Verasity as a product, as a project, and think, okay, this is a really innovative new project? Because as we know in crypto, I'm sure all of us have been around for a while, projects which have been around for a while, unfortunately, sometimes they can get forgotten. This is something we absolutely can't let happen with Verasity. So we're always looking for ways to make ourselves at the forefront of the conversations happening in the industry, which I think we're really good at. We've got insanely good social metrics and insanely good engagement on socials. We're actually up there shoulder to shoulder with some of the top 20 tokens in terms of engagement and how much we trend on Twitter, which is really cool considering our market cap. But how then can we bring our marketing up to the same standard as our socials and all of this? So to go back to what I was originally saying, that's going to come through a brand new website. The website is going to look way more like you would expect from a crypto project that launched this year. It's going to be very modern, really seamless design. It's going to have way more information for like new users of coming into the VRA ecosystem. And it's going to be just a more accessible and bit of a more interesting site for our users to use, because I'm not 100% keen on our current site. I think that we could do a lot better job of communicating that news.
Beautiful. So I'm excited to see what you're coming out with. Because really, compared to a lot of other websites that I've been on for projects, like I was surprised you said that. So I'm expecting something way better. So it's probably going to look amazing.
I think in terms of the functionality of how we present news and how we present our our latest developments and that sort of thing, we can improve. So I would just say, like Q2 is about improvement of all our products, so not just Veraviews, but we're going to have some new UI designs for Vera Wallet. We're going to have the new website update, and also we're going to start heading out to more events as well on the advertising side. So the advertising industry sort of starts waking up around summer in terms of events. So we're going to be heading to a lot more in-person events as well.
Nice. Yeah, and I know you mentioned the Vera wallet. Tammy, did you have a question on that?
I did actually, and I noticed, Jess, that you had it as well. So I was curious because you have the cold storage wallet, and you guarantee, from hacking and things like that. So I was just curious how you guys go about that, and what you use to ensure that for users.
Yeah, great question. So we actually published an article on this the other day, so it's pretty timely, that question. Obviously, we've seen a lot of hacks and exploits I mean, forever in the crypto industry. But over the last few months, I think there's been, I'm not going to name any, but there's been some really high profile exploits that have sort of left users in the lurch. We have a number of ways which we protect Vera Wallet. We're pretty proud to say that in pretty much 5 years of continuous operation, Vera Wallet has never been hacked. We do this through a number of ways. So we've got continuous threat monitoring, which is the bare minimum that we continuously monitor for bad actors who are trying to either game the system or gain access to wallets through like nefarious means. And we stop those. And we also have security features like keeping all user funds in cold storage. So even though you log in through a web interface, the actual assets, once you put your assets into Vera Wallet, they're gone. They go into a third-party custodial solution, which is, a cold storage solution. It's not kept online connected to the blockchain. And we also have forced 2FA, so you have to use like an authenticator and this sort of thing. It's actually really interesting how many crypto solutions, sites, wallets don't make you do that. They don't make you put 2FA on, which is the bare minimum of security when it comes to protecting your login credentials. So we've got stuff like that, which is, which is the prevention. Obviously, we've then also got the contingency plan. Every single system in the world, every single computer system, you can never say with 100% certainty that something is unhackable. We obviously do a very good job of making it so that it's as secure as possible. But in the unlikely event that something would happen, it's also insured. So we work with fund insurance agencies who basically insure user funds that are deposited into Vera Wallet. So it's an insured and secure ecosystem wallet. So if you are depositing VRA into the Vera Wallet, you can be pretty sure that it's well protected. What I would say as a caveat to that is, I think what a lot of people think about when they think about fund security, and unfortunately this is something we get a lot, and this is sort of like a public service announcement from me to our community, but quite often we get people contacting us and saying, hey, my Vera Wallet's been hacked and all my funds are gone. Unfortunately, that is pretty much, I think in 100% of cases, it's because of some like phishing attempt, or someone has got your username and password, or they've got access to your phone. So do be really careful with your login credentials, but also with things like your 2FA. Make sure that you've got the backup codes and all this sort of thing, because that is the only way in which to date attackers have been able to get funds off Vera Wallet, is when they literally just log into your account because your account details have been compromised somewhere. Unfortunately, in those situations, obviously it's not insured because it's not the fault of our systems that the VRA has been taken. But what we do actually, that I think no other wallet really does, is we also have a delay in withdrawal. This is again really important. So if you notice, for instance, that there's been a withdrawal request, and there'll be an email that is sent to your associated email account for Vera Wallet. If you notice there's been a withdrawal request for VRA, then and it's not you, it will actually be delayed until that hits another wallet. So you can contact the VRA, the Verasity support, and try and block that transaction. That's why we have that lockup period. Not only does it make us an unattractive target for attackers, because it's going to take them, it's not going to be instantaneous that they can transfer funds off Vera Wallet, but also it gives you a little bit of time if your information's been phished and someone's got access to your account, that you can block that from happening. So we are pretty proud, and I'd say to everyone who is wondering, if they want more information about how we keep Vera Wallet safe, do head over to our Medium, because we recently published an article on that.
I did put
May
it to the
oh,
top. Go ahead, Tammy.
I'm so sorry. Could I just ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you talk about the insurance, people obviously familiar with what happened in the banking industry recently and with the FDIC. Is there any cap on that insurance, or is it whatever is in the wallet? Can you explain that maybe a little bit?
Yeah, so we've got around 300,000 users on Vera Wallet. We always know how much Vera is being kept within Vera Wallet accounts. So it'll be insured to that amount, basically. We also have a limit on how many people can stake. That's to keep our staking ecosystem sort of at an upper limit of how many people can receive rewards and this sort of thing. So we always know how much is in the wallets. I'm not sure. It's a good question. That would be a good question for our CFO. Exactly how much it's insured to, but I know that Vera Wallet is insured, so everything that we have there in deposits is insured.
Interesting concept. Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Elliot. A lot of the times people are just like, I got hacked. I got hacked. And it's typically and I know Brooke can relate to this because I see her on the timeline like, you didn't get hacked, you got phished. And yeah, it's interesting that narrative gets put out there that, oh, I got hacked, but it's really people just, clicking stuff that they're not supposed to. Hey, Brooke, did you have anything you wanted to chime in or any questions?
Oh, I love this. And to be honest, I have not heard of Veracity, so I was like scrambling to read about it, but I'm going to do some more research, but I think it was really a good idea to come on Crypto and Coffee because now you're getting a different audience. So I'm impressed. And yeah, that website is really good. So
Right? Like
I'm
compared to
so like as a technologist and former web developer, like it's really good. And I don't know, I'm gonna check this out a lot more. But I like that you're implementing the security conversation because yeah, that it's hard to teach people that hey, this is actually a human situation, if you will. Like this isn't necessarily a brute force attack. That's like 5% of what happens, maybe even less. So it's good to put that into a perspective. But yeah, I'm learning more about it because to be honest, I have not heard of Veracity, and it looks like you've been around a while and have some really incredible products. So
been
Thanks,
building.
bro. That's really oh, sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead, Elliot. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thanks for those kind words, and yeah, do make sure you check out our website over the remainder of this quarter because, as I say, we'll be pretty soon pushing updates to that.
Awesome.
yeah, and then the social media part of it is really important. I don't bring that up enough because I do like really take seriously having an audience and not just on Twitter but other video apps. And so when you said that, like the engagement is so important and people don't realize that. Like we talk about it in this weird way on Twitter, like likes and retweets, but in a marketing way. And like I'm not a marketer, I'm a technologist. So I recognize the importance of the technology of all of this. So like ad revenue and doing all of these things out of the goodness of your heart, meaning like content creators, is a little bit martyristic. That's not a word, but like it's a little bit like, oh, you can't get paid for your work or what you're doing, your effort, and that's bullshit. Like we shouldn't be doing things essentially for free, I guess, or I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation. But it's good to recognize the value of your social media engagement because we're in an attention economy, and that's where the real information comes from, and we're knowledge brokering. I need to really trademark that.
Thanks, Brooke. Thanks, Brooke. And I know we are coming up at the top of the hour. So before that, I did have a question. I know this is going to be, I know it's recent with everything that's happening, but are you guys taking anything with AI into consideration, whether it's like how to prevent AI viewers or using AI technology maybe? Has that come up in any discussions? Completely random question,
Or
Elliot.
deep fakes. Is there a problem with deep fakes?
Yeah. Has that been any conversations of sort?
Yeah, so in terms of actually preventing, I mean, botnets are essentially a form of artificial intelligence. They're deployed pretty much with a singular vision to defraud advertisers. But we use AI and machine learning in our advertising stack. So we also have an article about how we do that on Medium, but essentially we help train AI models based on data that we collect from live advertising campaigns. And these AI models just basically help filter through a mass amount of data about bots, identify trends that, are bots more likely to do X, Y, Z. It can put this into a machine learning algorithm and sort of learn if something is likely to be a fraudulent view. So we have checks that happen in the background as we've discussed. But if an AI or a machine learning module can identify, okay, there's a 99% certainty that this is a bot, it's then very easier for us to discount them from either the bid stream or discount them from watching the video or playing the ad, or to say, while the ad is being played, okay, this is definitely a bot or a fraudulent viewer. So yeah, we have AI and machine learning modules. We never actually, I know, like in terms of the technology itself, it's been around for a while, right? Like there's a lot of projects, there's a lot of solutions that use AI and have done for many years. There has recently been a flurry of activity around it. And we've sort of come out and said, well, we use AI, but we didn't think that anyone was interested in it because it's just something that we use. What we have recently started doing, which is new, because I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, you're only saying that you use AI now because it's popular. No, we've always had AI in our ad stack. What we have now started doing differently is that we're actually actively using the data that we're collecting from live advertising campaigns, and we're using that to train new AI and machine learning models. So we're actually actively not only improving our own product, but we're improving the data granularity and the data availability in the whole ecosystem for preventing bots. So we could really make we could really make, because we've got a way of storing data that is far more accessible and far more transparent, we could really make very powerful AI models that are able to basically stop all forms of ad fraud before they occur or as they're occurring. So we're making our own product a lot more powerful through AI and machine learning. We do speak a little bit about that on our Medium, so do go and check that out if you've got some time. It's a pretty big article, but definitely have a look.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree with you. Like AI's been around for a while, and now everybody's like, everything is AI. So I figured I'd ask. But yeah, it's good to know that you guys have already been using this tech, and we'll probably continue to use it in different ways. Since we are coming up at the top of the hour, I did want to give you anything you want to leave us with, anything that's coming up, or any events you guys have going on that you want to leave us with, Elliot.
I'm not sure like there's anything that at the top of the agenda. I guess I would just say keep following us on all of our social media accounts. We have got another busy quarter lined up. One of the things that we're sort of getting ready for in the background now, and it's a really big event, just to put into context, like it's basically the biggest advertising event in Europe, if not one of the biggest advertising events in the world. But we're now starting our preparation for the Cannes Lion Festival. It's basically nearly a week long set of activity within Cannes. What a lot of advertisers do, there's what's called the official track. So there's like an award ceremony and this sort of thing for advertisers. But what most companies will do is they'll host their own activity in the city of Cannes in the south of France. And they'll do like networking events, they'll invite clients, and they'll look for other clients on the basically from people attending the event. And we're going to do similar to what we did last year, which was a networking lunch, except this year we've actually got way more case study data to show. We can actually show people real live demos of Veriviews working on live ad campaigns. And we're definitely, I would say this year, we are there to we're there to sell and we're there to onboard. So last year we were there to sort of gauge the sort of read the room on how much people wanted a transparent ad fraud solution. Now we know that it's wanted and it's useful, and we're there to expand our commercial rollout. So it's going to be an important event this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Ooh, nice. You get to go to the south of France. I would love to be able to attend. So definitely enjoy that. And definitely thank you for coming by. And like you heard Brooke, I know a lot of people were like, did not know what Veracity was. So I'm glad you were able just to come on and let the community know about what you guys are building.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a pleasure, and I really like the format. And I'd be happy to come on, future crypto coffee hours.